in the 2005 Toyota Atlantic Championship, the 32nd season of this august series is shaping up just like so many before it. At the beginning of this weekend, only 35 points separated the top 3 drivers, each striving for the crown of this, the most prestigious open-wheel development series in the world, and each having experienced both the highs and lows of this most demanding of sports. For points leader Charles Oldsman, the joyful memory of 3 wins is dimmed by the harsh reality of his failed attempt at Toronto. For Tony's Kazmats, a brilliant move at the start of the last race in San Jose gave him the lead, but then disaster struck in the form of a broken shifter, and he was forced to retire. A crushing blow to his championship hopes. Finally, for Katherine Legge, 2005 has defined her as the only woman to ever win a major open-wheel event in North America, yet she too has tasted the bitter fruit of failure. So as the last quarter of this season gets underway, each driver knows the word guarantee is not in their racing vocabulary. But for a twist of fate, a mere change of temperament on the part of Dame Fortune, each of them could find themselves on the outside looking in. And their nearest competitors, Messieurs Wirth and Bissett, are well aware of that fact and poised to pound should opportunity once again present itself. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado. I'm Greg Kramer, and along with expert commentator Jan Beekes and former Atlantic champ turned pit reporter Calvin Fish, I'll be bringing you our coverage of the 10th round of this year's 12-round Toyota Atlantic Championship. Now let's take a look at what DNFs for did not finish could do to the chase for the crown. For the sake of argument, let's assume that Zwolsman is not able to finish today's race and earns few or no points, and Kazmats takes the checkers first. Well, suddenly, Tony's is within just a few points of Charles. Now, if both Kazmats and Zwolsman were to DNF and Legge could take her 4th win, well, she would find herself second and nearly as close to Zwolsman. Clearly, just the act of finishing must be a paramount consideration for all 3. And, of course, perhaps the best way to start off ensuring you finish the race is to qualify well and avoid mid-path traffic. Well, for our top 3 in points, it didn't turn out that way. As we take a look at the starting lineup, the first row, Alan Shuto and Andreas Wirth. And this series has once again lived up to its reputation for discovering and showcasing new talent.
The driver that was named the top shifter kart driver in all of North America in 2004 decided to hang up the helmet, turn to the Toyota Atlantic Series late in the season, did so in San Jose, and amazingly, Alan Shuto, at 17 years old, has scored a pole position in only your 2nd race. You've got to be just thrilled and somewhat surprised you're starting on the pole in only your 2nd time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big surprise for us and the team. I mean, we just put this team together right before San Jose, and we just all kind of, gelled really well, and we just started growing from there.
Our top 3 in points are next up. Zwolsman and Kazmats, 1-2 in the points, fill out row 2. Row number 3, led by Katherine Legge, 3rd in the points with 2 straight wins in her pocket. And Antoine Bissett, won at Toronto, likes the street courses. Row 4, David Martinez and Al Unser. And David Martinez, well, he also seems to relish the challenges of this type of circuit.
David Martinez is coming off his best career finish in San Jose, and of course, that was a street course. We're back to Denver, another street course. Does that suit your style?
It definitely does. There's something about street courses that I like, and I definitely like this track, so I guess we're going to be in front today.
And moving along to row 5, Kyle Kelly is back and looking strong. Ryan Spencer-Smith, great to see him. Row number 6, our C2 champion, Justin Sofio and Dan Selznick. Row number 7, Lee Atkins and Dan Cobb. Row number 8 will be Daryl Liskey and Chris Soliotis. And row 9 is Bob Siska and Brian McAtee. Now, we told you that Calvin Fish is our guy in the pits. And Calvin, what are you finding out?
Well, Greg, when you look at the performance of young Alan Shuto this weekend, it's been nothing less than sensational. But when you look a little deeper into the makeup of this team, PR1 Motorsports, it starts to make sense. His race engineer, John Hayes, he's worked with some of the best young drivers that come through the ranks. Maybe one of the fastest guys in an Atlantic car ever, Claude Bourbonnais. In recent years, Dan Weldon, who went on to win the Indy 500 this year. So that experience has certainly been invaluable to young Alan. But here today on the streets of Denver, Greg, is going to be Alan Shuto's driving skills that will be put to the test.
Well, I tell you what, his driving skills look incredibly impressive as well, so we'll be looking for that. as he brings him up. There's a good look at John Hayes, who has engineered an awful lot of talent. The field coming up now to the last turn on the track and coming onto the front straight, looking for the green flag. Shudo lagging a little bit behind. It looked like Andreas Wirth, but he's got the inside. Look at the move by Catherine Legg. Down to the inside, trying to pick up spots. That's Zolzman. She's there.
Oh,
they touch. And Zolzman gets into Kasmitz a little bit, and Martinez sneaks through.
Wow, some heavy contact in turn number 1, and definitely Catherine Legg is dropping back. You can see it's not turning. She's done. We talked about DNFs. She didn't need one. She may get back to the pits for repair, but no chance of winning this one.
Now those two front wheels are not pointed in the same direction, Jan. She is in big trouble at this stage, without a doubt. Meanwhile, it is Wirth who went to the front. Shudo slots into second. Then it's Zolzman and Kasmitz at this stage. And Martinez, what a great opportunistic move he took, puts him into fourth.
And for Charles Zolzman, he's got to be concerned about the contact with Legg. We saw the heavy damage on the front of Catherine Legg's car, but watch the contact on the left of the screen between Legg and Zolzman, and then, as you said, kind of got ricocheted over into Tonise Kasmitz.
Take a look at it from a different perspective as well. Kasmitz just able to fend off. Here we go on board.
Just hit the rumble strips. When you hit the rumble strips, it kicks the car out. And in fact, she had talked to some of the Champ Car stewards about that very thing. Calvin?
Well, Catherine Legg was going for 3 consecutive victories. It's not going to happen today. Damage to the front end, wing damage, and most importantly, that track rod is bent. So the Polestar team are going to go to work, try and get her back out here, but I think she'll definitely go a lap down.
Oh, I would think at least they have to take the nose off, work on that front corner. That's not a real quick fix, is it, Jan?
It is not, and it's just such a case. This is a development series. You want to be aggressive in that first turn, but if you get across the rumble strips, it'll kick you back out into the racing line, and that's exactly what happened to Catherine.
And that means Andreas Wirth, as you can see, has quickly opened up a sizable lead over Alan Shudo. For Wirth, he has been fast, he has had a pole, but he has not had a win, and he is on form and has been all weekend long so far. We are back, and Catherine Legg sits dejectedly in pit lane. 3 wins, 2 in a row, closing in on the points a little bit. Obviously needed a little bit of help, but for her, just sitting there, that lap count going away on her right now. She is down 2 laps already. Take a look at what she's achieved this year, though, and tell you what, rookie season, just a phenomenal job. And she has proven beyond doubt, Jan, that she is a racer extraordinaire. She loves it when that green flag flies to race.
She is extremely aggressive at the start of events. She's had some contact in other places. You can't fault that, but in a development series, that's one of the things you have to learn. How aggressive can I be? Obviously, she's got to pull back just a bit.
Well, on that move, it looked like she was pretty much alongside Zolzman, and then I think it looked like she sensed he was going to turn in. She tried to ease out of it, but just ran out of space. Meanwhile, it is Wirth who continues to build that lead of his. It is up now to over 2 seconds at this stage, and Wirth, what a showcase for this driver. As I said, Jan, he has been very fast many, many times this season, but boy, since they rolled off the trailer here, he has been quick.
He has. His engineer, Nick Harvey, was saying that, well, we just can't seem to get it in qualifying. We keep winning the wrong sessions. we win the practice sessions. But what has happened with Andreas Wirth, he's been complaining of push all season. But now they've got the car to where it's actually a little bit loose. A little harder to drive, but loose is fast.
Loose is fast, and we talked about his speed this year. Well, he had some good runs early in the season. He was battling with Antoine Bissett in Cleveland, and then his team owner John Brook looked on. He did it again in Edmonton. Then, trying to fend off newcomer Alan Shudo in San Jose, he had another tough fight on his hands, but he held on, managed a 5th-place finish. But he's podiumed, he's pole, and he's just due, I think. And I tell you what, the guy who won the Formula BMW Championship last year, this kid is very quick, and maybe today is the day. As you look at what he's achieved this year in terms of all those podiums, he's fast. Maybe it's coming together today at this stage. And Calvin, he certainly is due.
He's really due, and they're very confident here. He did run here last year with Formula BMW, had a couple of 4th-place finishes and a pole here. I think this really made a difference is a test they did at Thunder Hill following San Jose. Nick Harvey said they found a couple of things with the car. As Jan mentioned, the front end working much better here. The car almost too loose, but what it did do that test, it gave Wirth a lot more confidence in the race car, and as shown here in the early laps.
Well, that's a huge element, isn't it? If you're confident, then you'll attack, then you'll be aggressive, you'll throw it in if you really believe the car's going to do what you want it to do.
That is true. Now, as you look at those who chase, one thing about a car that's positive in the front is that you can't attack unless your car works with you. In other words, if you have a pushing car, you can attack. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that's going to be the right setup for the whole duration. We know that people, as we see here, Charles Zolzman, and now, of course, our rookie sensation that we've talked about so much, Alan Shudo, there's still a lot of racing left. Certainly, Andreas Wirth has got a nice lead, but we've got some great battles in the field.
There is David Martinez taking a look at Kasmets, and Kasmets has moved back up. Remember in that opening sequence, Martinez was able to sneak by as Kasmets got pushed way wide, but Tonys has been very fast. In fact, in this final qualifying, had the fastest time in that session at one point and was quickest in the morning warm-up. He got sort of forced out in that sequence. He is fighting his way back up, and in terms of that points championship, that's absolutely huge. Zolzman in second, Kasmets in fourth right now. That's a point swing Kasmets cannot afford.
For Kasmets, though, you would have to be concerned that maybe he got some damage because we saw that side-to-side contact with Zolzman. Now, Charles Zolzman was kind of the meat in the sandwich, got hit from both sides, but his car seems to be okay. Calvin?
Well, looking at Tonys Kasmets, he certainly has to have a very good day here to get back in this championship hunt. But the irony with that DNF at San Jose is on Saturday night there, they went right through the car. Alan O'Leary said, we need to replace some parts. They spent $15,000 in the Swift truck, and then that was a gear lever that broke. So that was the heartbreak that day. They realized today they have to outscore Zolzman and get back into the thick of this chase.
Well, at this stage, it's pretty early in the going, but Kasmets and Zolzman, their times that they've been turning have been very close. Kasmets, once he got by Martinez, has been able to drive away, and as far as Martinez goes, you see that bright orange car coming up underneath the unique entry of Bissett. That is exactly what Kasmets wants to see. Let Bissett work over Martinez. Kasmets can set sail, try and catch those guys in front at this stage.
That's a very good point, though. Now that he is clear watching the lap times, it does appear as though maybe he did, and Catherine Legge, with her damage, is back on the racetrack. Of course, now this is a test session. You may pick up a few championship points, but more about getting a feel for this track for next year.
Yeah, she is officially, folks, just so you know, 4 laps down right now, but track time is everything, and she's just looking to maximize the learning curve at this stage and salvage whatever she can here on the streets of Denver. But for Wirth, he's gone. We are back. We are on board the BOSpoker.net entry of Al Unser III, and right now having a pretty solid run, sitting in the 7th spot. Pretty special day for Al. His sister, big wiggle under braking.
Kyle Kelly, I think, picked up a spot on him.
Sure did. Boy, just one mistake, and it was that, but Unser right there once again. Now, boy, just hard on the brakes. Does he hold on to it? Runs wide again. Kelly looks to the inside. Not quite.
Wow. Al Unser III is definitely not afraid to get onto the brakes late. He's got a bit of rear bias, meaning that you can actually hear the back of the car jumping around when he's hard on the brakes. That was what was great about looking off the back of the car. If you have too much rear bias, the car hops and goes sideways.
This track, as Kelly taking a look once again, this is going into turn 5 on the pit straight. Doesn't happen there. Unique layout here in that the start-finish line, not on the pit straight, but it is at the end of the track. Turn 9, probably best passing opportunity.
It's always good to have, yes, I think turn 9 is a great place to pass, and I don't think you really would want to start on the start-finish straight, because that first turn, well, turn 5 as we call it now, as a result, is a real slick one.
Continuing to ride on board with Unser. Watching Kelly here. Not enough there. And by the way, right behind Kelly is Spencer Smith, who is proving to be a bit of a find as well, driving Eric Jensen's car. Kelly coming right after him again. And see if Kelly makes the move. He's looking at it. Locks up. Boy, Unser sensed him coming, didn't he? Gave him a little bit of room just in case.
That's the smart thing to do. If Al Unser would have held it tight, there could have been some contact there, but he maintained the position. But there are times that discretion is the better part of valor. You got to give a little bit of room if someone, especially if you see smoke off the front wheels, you know they're not stopping.
That's a good clue. Yeah, absolutely. And so this battle continues, by the way, as the battle for 7th. Now, Al Unser in Cleveland, he had an ongoing battle with Chris Dyson on the last lap. Watch this. That, folks, is airborne in an Atlanta car coming through that final sequence of corners. And then some great fights for position at the start and on the restarts in Toronto ended up with Unser earning a very hard-fought 4th place finish. Great run for him there, and looking like he is in race mode here today without any question as we take a look at what his season has unfolded so far. And what I was going to mention was a very special day for him. His sister Cody, who's been relegated to a wheelchair because of a very unusual malady, was the person who gave the Start Your Engine command today. That's pretty cool.
It is. I think from that highlight package you see one thing, and that is, racing in the middle of the field in a development series is a lot more, where there's a lot more happening than there is up front, where it seems to be somewhat processional. But boy, you have to race as you're getting up through the field, and in these mid-pack battles, they're wild.
They are, and we're seeing that right now. It's just everywhere you look, it is intense. Now, Kelly's sitting right behind Unser. These two not able to depart from each other, or for that matter, Ryan Spencer-Smith. And for Kelly, he started off, he had a great performance in Portland, and it landed him smack dab on the podium, but then he missed a few races, and when he returned to San Jose, looked very good again, was very fast in the early going, but then a retirement ended his day behind the wall. But we have seen him show up here once again, Jan, and as we take a look at what his season has offered up, he has been real racing here.
Yeah, for Kyle, he's very impressive. You got to consider he doesn't have necessarily the same type of budget that some of these other cars do. He's again taking a look.
Showed the nose big time, and Unser just kept kind of leaning in on him a little bit. Kelly just couldn't quite get the job done. But boy, this cut and thrust by both of these guys is absolutely great.
For Kyle, he showed his colors here a few times. Now what he needs to do, settle down, take a breath, and pick one spot where you have an advantage and make a big go. Instead of a couple small ones, you just have to stick the car in there when you think you've got an advantage on some part of the racetrack.
Well, they're also going to catch up some traffic here, it looks like, and that could certainly play a role. Oh, I don't know. Did he kiss that wall just a little bit, Kelly?
I think that was the contour of the road that kicked the car out, but it was close.
It was very close. Meanwhile, there you go, Unser underneath traffic, and the car moves out. Dan Cobb, one of the C2 drivers, and sees that this is this group coming through, moves over. Good sportsmanship by Dan, letting them all go through. But that's the one thing about a track like this. You got that one great passing area. There's others that are inviting but maybe not really effective. If you do something there, it kills your momentum at the exit of the turn. You lose a few feet, and then you're hurt when you get to that great passing zone. So that's what you meant. Focus all your efforts on one. And Kelly, yeah, here we go to turn 9 again. Not quite close enough. So the battle continues here for 7th, back in the pack, and Andreas Wirth is now 4 seconds clear.
To run a Toyota Atlantic operation, it takes quite a bit of equipment, but it also takes quite a few personnel. Consider the 2-car team of Brooks Racing. We're with John Brooks, team owner. How many people to run this operation?
Right now we've got 3 guys per car maintaining the car. We've got an engineer per car. We've got a shared data engineer, a shared driver coach. So and myself brings us about 11 people, plus wives and other people that help out at the racetrack each race weekend.
Now when you talk 11, 12 people, next year with a new chassis, new combination, will it take the same number of people?
Well, we're hoping to be able to control the costs and keep our count down. As far as employees are concerned, I think they're working hard to make the car a little more simple, so it's a little bit user-friendly, so we can maybe cut a few positions out, but we'll probably be right where we are or very close to it.
I would imagine the smile on John Brooks' face pretty big right now as both of his drivers, Andreas Wirth leading big, and Al Unser showing very racy form and running very strongly in the top 10. He's got to be liking that. So obviously Brooks right now enjoying the look of this race, Calvin.
Well, John Brooks certainly is. The whole team is here with Nick Harvey, the engineer for Andreas Wirth, and a great start to the race, and he's just streaking away from the field. Has he said anything on the radio?
No, he hasn't said anything about the car, just the traffic. The traffic's getting a little busy for us.
He's had a great year, but he's looking for that first victory. I mean, the test that he had at Thunderhill really seems to have given him a lot of confidence. I'm sure he'd like to get through here today and get the victory.
Yeah, if we get to the end of this thing where we're running, you'll see some monkeys flying in the air. They'll be off our backs.
All right, mate, good luck. Thank you.
Well, he is certainly laying down an absolutely great drive so far.
We talk about a monkey on the back, and we talk about now all the personnel on this team. You have to remember, we always so much focus on the driver, but this is a driver and engineer series. Nick Harvey is obviously a very well-known engineer, and he's been struggling to try, along with all the rest of that crew, to get exactly what Andreas Wirth needs to make the car turn and act and be aggressive the way he wants. So it's so much more of a team effort than sometimes it's portrayed.
And I'll tell you, it's been subtle. I'm just watching Andreas walking around the paddock. There's a grin on his face all weekend here that he wasn't able to wipe off. And I think that's exactly what we've been talking about, that confidence in the car. Now, there's Zolzman. Then you see behind him Shudo, and Kazmits is closing on Shudo. So for Zolzman here, this second place is really crucial for him to be able to keep this pace up, keep those guys behind him just a bit.
Yeah, for Charles, he'll actually be pleased where he's running right now. He's back in championship mode.
Yes.
He's not really going to be concerned about Andreas Wirth. He's going to be much more concerned about the cars, as you said, that are up from behind. Who's in championship contention, who isn't. He certainly knows. He had the contact with Catherine Lake, knows that she's out of it, but he'll keep a close eye back there on Shudo and also Tonis Kazmits just coming into the screen.
There is Shudo, and boy, what a story he has been in only his second race. Just phenomenal, getting the pole. And his performance in second round qualifying was just staggering in many ways as well. And then Kazmits right behind him in that group. And Shudo just exceptionally impressive. And in that second round qualifying, just went out and circulated a little bit. And as soon as they got a little close, cracked off a lap that just said, no, this is still my gig. And he's been brilliant. And in talking with John Hayes and the engineers for that team, they say the kid is extremely calm, very focused, and is a sponge when it comes to information, and is just brilliant. Hop on board with Kazmits. That's the margin to Shudo.
You can hear the car bottom a little bit on some of the bumpy sections. That's what you want. That's first gear, 51 miles an hour at the slowest part, and he definitely, as you said, is catching on Shudo, and he'll put some serious pressure. About 60 miles an hour through here. It's called two turns, but it's really one long sweeping turn to the right. Grab a gear in between and then right back down again. Big crowd on the road as you come across the pit straightaway. Aurora Parkway, if you've ever driven on in Denver, city streets here, and you can see the camber of the road he has to fight as he comes into turn 5.
And just in that sequence alone, he's been able to close it up just a little bit more on Alan Shudo. And Shudo, a great story, but Calvin, he's coming under some heat.
He is. We're here with his engineer, John. You started from the pole. You drop back a little bit now under pressure from Kazmits. Everything good with the car?
Yeah, it seems really good. We're turning some good laps now. We're just getting our wings under us here.
Talk about this young kid. You work with a lot of other great drivers coming through the ranks. How about this young man?
Alan is quite the young man at this age. At 17 years old, I've worked with a lot of drivers. He's probably one of the most mature at this age.
Right, mature at 17. You can't beat that on the racetrack, Greg.
Oh, not at all. I mean, Hayes was telling me, so when he gets out of the car, no matter what's happened, it is absolutely calm in how he just speaks. It's like a data printout out of a computer. There's no emotion in what Shudo says when he gives you his ideas on what the car is doing. And Hayes said he's also picked up on the fact that when if I give you a car you don't like, you got to tell me. He said it's amazing. But a guy who's got a car he loves right now is Andreas Wirth, and he is just driving away. He has that Burgess windows and doors car checking out up front. Welcome back, everybody, to Denver. We are just past halfway here in the Toyota Atlantic Championship run here, the 10th round of this storied series. And we talked about at the top of the show, I mentioned talking about that front row of the grid, showcasing young talent. We were referring maybe there to Shudo, but for Andreas Wirth, showcase is exactly what he's doing out. Maybe clinic, even, is a better way to put it.
There is a pretty big advantage in having run this circuit the previous year, but the one thing he hasn't had is he hasn't had the car respond in the same way that a Formula BMW chassis does. They're lighter, they're really responsive, and that's why Nick Harvey's been trying to give him a car that turns quickly, because that suits his driving style.
And there's the gap. You just see Wirth go out of the way. It's now just about 4.5 seconds. Then Zolzman, Kazmits has gone by Shudo, made the pass. And boy, not only did he get by him, he has left Shudo there. You can see the margin that quick. As a matter of fact, now Shudo coming under some heat from the orange car of Antoine Bizet, that unique auto design entry. So right now, Kazmits seems to be the guy on the move. That Flexobit abrasive products car is hooked up, and he was quickest in the morning warm-up.
Well, he wants to be abrasive. He wants to get up there, and he wants to get on Zolzman. He knows from a championship standpoint he has no choice. You heard Calvin say that earlier. The pressure is on. He has to turn it up and really, really needs to put pressure on Zolzman, because obviously the prize at the end of the season is the overall focus. Right. Now you've got to really be focused on that.
And he is catching Zolzman in big gobs right now. Just to look at the last couple of laps, Zolzman turned a 109.1, Kazmits a 108.6. So we took a half second away from Zolzman, and we're not dealing with traffic here. That's just straight pace.
And the 108.6 is the fastest lap of the race, which is a championship point. So he's thinking all kinds of things. A, I need to get by Zolzman. B, I have to be certain that I get fastest. And of course, unfortunately, the most improved positions is where you started. In other words, he dropped way. It's too bad it's not, you know, if I drop to the back of the race and go to the front, I get the point, but it doesn't work in that case.
And Antoine Bizet, let's not count him out. He may be a ways behind the leader, but his run in Toronto, he came alive at about the halfway point in that race and was able to get to the front and go after it. But right now, Kazmits quickly closing on Zolzman and putting the pressure on the Dean's RC Products Swift of Shuto is just dropping off just a little bit. And there is Bissett, number 3. And his pass for the lead in Toronto was pretty daring. I mean, just ripped down the inside of Martinez, gave him his first win. In Edmonton, he had a battle with Tonis Kazmits, and that battle ended up giving him a 4th place finish. But problems on the streets of San Jose. This turn where several drivers had problems ended his day abruptly and violently, but Bissett shook it off. He's another of those young guys, always has a grin on his face, and for a first season in Formula type racing, it's been stunning.
Yeah, he does always have a grin. He is coached by Richard Spinard, who has taught a lot of drivers, not only French-Canadian drivers, the way around racetracks, but he has this loosey-goosey kind of attitude that is amazing, that he can get so focused come race time.
And the fact that he started, this still just amazes me, that he started in rally and sedan cars and the like, makes the switch first season in open-wheel formula cars and gets a win, and no less under the pressure that he must have been at in Toronto. Really, I think, spoke volumes about what this kid is all about. Meanwhile, you see him there as he's trying to get by Shudo. There's Zolzman, the blue car. There's Kazmits, Shudo, and Bissett. That is the battle, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And Kazmits now has closed that margin up to about a half second. It's pretty obvious. And now we're going to see if, as we've said so many times, catching's one thing, passing's another story altogether.
And we do have a bit of an accordion effect here, that it appears as though Zolzman not able to stay with the pace. And you can see that Kazmits, he knows that there's traffic coming. He's trying to get himself in position.
Tried to set Zolzman up on the exit. He is tucked underneath. There's the traffic. Now, that's as close as Kazmits has been to Zolzman. And also Bissett looking to do something maybe.
Here he comes.
Go around Shudo. Here comes Kazmits. And Kazmits got by cleanly. Now Zolzman, a big dive move.
But can he stop?
Yes!
Unbelievable.
Well, you said in an earlier show, you said Zolzman is magic under braking. I guess.
Yes,
Watch this now.
They call him the god of the brakes. Let's see how late he can be here.
This time, though, Kazmits gets to the inside. Zolzman stays there, floats out wide. Here comes Shudo. Zolzman drives right with him. See, is Shudo going to be able to come across? No, Zolzman. Boy, that was, I think Shudo gave him that one, but now Bissett's going to jump on the opportunity. He's got the inside. It's so tight. He got him.
And that was a case where Alan Shudo knows that he's not a championship contender. He actually gave some room there. This was a pass back. Look at that quick move by Zolzman. Unbelievable. He got the car well down and made the apex, and now you're starting to see the ebb and flow that was taken advantage of by Bissett. But what a quick move here in the first turn now, and this is where, watch, we have 2 battles at the very same time. Kazmits going to the inside, nice and clean, and Zolzman tries to hang to the outside, but that's what gave Bissett the opportunity. And look, Bissett's on him now.
Oh, man, did he get a run now? it's a braking duel. Bissette's got the inside. He's wide. Zolzman swings down underneath and is going to be able to drive by him. And right there, I think the way you put it in that earlier show, you said, as Carlos Bobeda has got to be chewing the nails here, watching his driver in that number 11, you said Zolzman is a god under braking, was how you put it. And I'll tell you, Bissett had the run, but Zolzman was able to get the car stopped. He is strong when it comes to braking.
And I think it is a case where he may be quick on the brakes, but he looks to me like he's slow on the straight. They've been trying to trim the car out. Not exactly sure why that is, but they've been working this weekend, and you could see the Kazmits, once he got in the draft, blew by him on the back straightaway.
And you see the gap as well. That cut and thrust between Zolzman and Bissett has given Kazmits 2 seconds already over Zolzman. Kazmits in second. He's not even in the frame right now, and that is what momentum can do. And when yours is used up, racing with somebody offline, cut, thrust, and you're actually slower than you are when you're just driving away. And Kazmits has taken full advantage. What a great group of sequences of battling going on. And up front, it's all behind this guy, Andreas Wirth. Kazmits taking his time to get around Zolzman has given Wirth now 6.5 seconds on the field. Perhaps the most dominant run we have seen this season. And the pilot is Andreas Wirth. Boy, is he putting it together. And we are on board once again with Katherine Legge. Remember, quite a few laps down, but she's still racing, doing whatever she can to come up through the pack just a little bit, salvage any points she can. She needs some help, obviously, with some cars falling out if she's going to really accrue anything serious in points. But she remains 18th at this stage, and looks like she's running pretty quick. I mean, some of the lap times she's turned at points have been fairly competitive. It's just that she's down the order so far because of that problem. Meanwhile, at the complete other end of the order is Andreas Wirth, and he's backed off just a little bit. I don't know whether he got caught in some traffic, but that margin shrunk by a second here. Still gives him 5.5.
It's a case where he's controlling the pace. There's no reason for him to take any undue chances, and he knows how many seconds, knows how many number of laps, and it's a case of just trying to keep your focus and be consistent.
At the top of the show, I mean, he was listed as one of the pursuers, and the interesting thing is Wirth right now with his win, with legs problems, and the fact that Wirth was only 8 points behind Tony's Kazmits coming in, Wirth is going to close that gap up just a little bit on Tony's as well. Speaking of which, Tony's now working through some fairly heavy traffic, but he too now has a margin of, about 3 seconds over Zolzman at this stage. So that's huge, isn't it? When you catch traffic, if you've got somebody hounding you, one mistake, you've got to be decisive, you've got to be quick. If you got a little margin, you can be a little patient and make a move. Now, Bissett, speaking of making moves, looked for a second, like he was going to try Zolzman right there. Couldn't get it done. But boy, traffic, once again, maybe an opportunity. It is affects it thing so much. They've got to get through here, and a nice job by that car to just move out of the way and let that group come through. Didn't affect him really one bit.
For Charles Zolzman in the blue and white car, number 11, he has got to be really feeling the pressure. When you're the championship point leader and you've got some fast young guns behind you, you maybe know you don't have a perfect car. That's tough to try and keep your focus.
And Zolzman working traffic. He's been brilliant in that all season long. He had 3 victories, remember, and that gave him a serious run coming in here in the points championship. But he's had lady problems recently. That is hard-charging. Katherine Legge has passed him twice in recent events, and I don't think it's chivalry necessarily that's putting Charles in second place right now. He's still atop the points, but you wonder, is Charles still in charge? One would think so at this stage.
Oh, and Shudo got big time loose coming into turn number 9.
That turn is so wide, in and out. Is it tough in there to find reference points and the like?
Well, some people call it the mile-wide corner, so yeah, but it's not too bad. They've changed it over the years with some paint and so on. It's just a case where it comes off the fastest straightaway, 140 plus miles per hour, all the way down to 50. So obviously, you want to brake as late as you possibly can.
Zolzman being hounded by Antoine Bissett. This is the battle for third right now, and still in all, I mean, he's not going to give up a lot of points in the championship to Kazmits, his closest pursuer. Wirth is going to close up a little bit. Legge has dropped right back in things here. So Zolzman, it's got to be a little bit of a balance at this stage. How hard do I want to run? Do I want to fight Bissett brutally hard for this position? if he gets real racy, do I let him go? Kazman's right there working traffic, and here's Zolzman, and you can see the difference in those speeds right now. Bissett, once again, takes a look down the inside, and again, does Bissett? No, he cannot get it slowed down, and Zolzman counterpunches beautifully, drives right back underneath him. That was deja vu all over again. Bissett's got to figure out how to get that car slowed down, and he might be able to make that pass stick, but he's going to have to try it all over again. Wednesday night on Speed, check out Unique Whips, turning cars into one-of-a-kind works of art. It's Unique Whips, Wednesday night at 9 on Speed. Well, this guy is putting a whipping on the field right now. It's 4 seconds, but you're absolutely right. He'll gap back a little bit, lose a little time, and then suddenly he throws in a lap that is very quick. In fact, now one of the fastest laps of the race, and that was just taken by Kazimets. And Kazimets is closing in just a little bit as well. And Calvin Fish, that margin shrinking a bit.
It is, but when we look at the leader, Greg, we're thinking of Andreas Wirth looking for his first career win. Well, a team owner here, John Brooks, you're looking for your first, mate. How nervous are you?
I am very nervous, I have to admit, but I know Andreas is doing a great job. He's been doing a great job all weekend. I'm just so excited for him to get his first win. It'll be great for all of us.
Okay, well, good luck. Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much.
And Kazmets is absolutely flying right now. Now, Wirth has responded, turning a lap in the mid-108s, but Kazmets just turned a 108.5, fastest lap of the race so far, and you talked about it before, Jan, bonus point. That's huge.
Every bonus point will certainly count, and he knows it. And see, if you can see it in the same shot, that means that Andreas Wirth will see him in the mirrors, and that's what you want to try and do. The moment that you see, and it's not hard to see that bright yellow Flexibit car, that when you see that, all of a sudden, he's hoping somehow that distracts Wirth into making some small mistake.
Well, we'll have to watch the times. I mean, if Wirth is driving the gap, so to speak. Number 2, that's Ryan Spencer-Smith, who was having a very good run earlier, was well in the top 10. But he is, well, that's
pit in.
Yeah.
So he's actually a bit off the racing line, so they may be able to, these cars do have onboard starters, so he theoretically should be able to fire it up and get it backed up. But you can tell by the beating on the steering wheel, for some reason, they won't refire.
Oh, man, and he had such a good run going, this young man did, driving that Eric Jensen Motorsport car, but all for naught right now at this stage. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the times, and Kazmets has taken another 2/10 off of Wirth in that last sequence of laps. So he is closing, but not quick enough, as we're at 5 laps to go, and he's 3.5 seconds back. He needs to start finding slightly bigger chunks
Well,
than
but
2/10.
there's traffic. You want to be close enough that if the traffic happens to work, and you can just tell by the interval here, that's just a little smidgen closer than he was last time. He'll keep pushing and hoping maybe some traffic just falls his way.
And Shuto has moved up and gone by Bissett. Now remember, Bissett was all over Zolzman, and now he has lost a spot to Shuto. And so that's obviously given Zolzman a little bit of breathing room, which I'm sure he appreciates huge.
He's like,
right now.
Man.
Unbelievable. So that's the scenario right now. But Kazmets has just now taken back a little bit more. He is within 3 seconds of Wirth with 4 to go. Speaking of speed, we're seeing a lot of it right now out of Tonis Kazmets. As I said, he had closed to under 3 seconds, and in that last lap, he has taken a 1.5 seconds away from 3 seconds, John, to 1.6. He is coming with a full head of steam, and that last lap, here's the difference. Kazmets 108.7, Wirth 110 flat.
Don't want to back up that much, Andreas. And you can see Andreas, and you can see him there looking in the mirrors. It's subtle, but when you all of a sudden have a driver check in the mirrors, either A, he's in trouble, or figuring, I've got to step it up.
Well, I was watching the last 2 corners he went through, Wirth, the back end of that car stepping out badly. You talked about how that car, Darty, they got the car to be a bit loose, and you said at one point, Jan, you said you don't know if that's going to work for the whole race. I think the handling of that car may be going off.
That is one of the tricky things when you engineer a car, and again, there have been no full course cautions in this race.
That's John Brooks' daughter, of course, very interested member of that team. Oh, there you saw it. She just obviously got worried about the gap. Hands over the eyes. I don't want to watch this. Here we go. Verth now coming up into some traffic. This could be a big thing, especially can Verth. He gets through. How about Kasmets? And he stays out, lets Kasmets through. So the battle not affected Calvin Fish. This one is not over.
It isn't over, and the traffic is absolutely killed Worth. I just spoke to Nick Carver. He said 2 guys absolutely killed is there. John Brooks is running up and down pit lane trying to get to the guys that Worth is going to encounter before the checkered flag here to try and help this team out as they look for that first win.
Lap and a half basically to go at this stage. More traffic in front, and there's the margin now down to half a second, Jan. And Kasmets, when it gets in traffic, Tony Kasmets will do anything he has to, I think, at this stage. I talked to him earlier, and he said, when is the bad luck going to end? He's trying to be optimistic, and he said, we need to pull something out here. And now Worth going to get a little bit of help. If he can get by and trap Kasmets, that would be huge.
Kasmets should also get by. So this will actually be good traffic timing for both drivers. That actually may have helped Worth a little bit. He got a bit of a draft on the back straightaway.
Down into 9, coming out onto the onto the start-finish straight. As I said, different locations here. And we have 1 lap to go. Last lap, the margin, well, it's that close. And it's all about, can Verth hang on? And can Kasmets find some magic here?
There is the great passing zone into turn number 9, the corner we've been calling the mile-wide corner. That comes before the start-finish line. So about 3 or 4 corners to go here. If Kasmets can get close enough to get into the draft, he could make a run, and he's inching closer.
Well, I tell you what, if he can get through that sequence, 5, then 6, 7, 8, well, he may have a shot here with all that width down there. You know he's going to try it. And here he comes, and there's traffic again that is going to play a bit of a role here. You see the blue flags? Kasmets very close to the back of Verth. Here we go. On to this long run. Kasmets, he's close enough. Possible draft. Verth moves over. They're clear. Kasmets looking. Kasmets darting. Kasmets, any opening. He dives to the inside. Kasmets on the brakes. Verth outside. Kasmets, it's gone away. He loops it around. Verth comes through underneath. Verth is going to take the win, but for Kasmets, can he get it saved? Verth has the win. Kasmets trying to bring it around. And Shuto, Zolzman, and Kasmets sits there. It will not restart. Jan, the bad luck continues.
I was going to say no harm, no foul. Why not try it in the final corner? But unbelievably, he has stalled, and Tony Kasmets is now giving away all those points that he's earned.
And late in the going, Shuto was able to get by Zolzman, so he'll end up second, but Zolzman third. Lisette Martinez, oh boy, unbelievable last lap that we have witnessed here, and Andreas Verth, those monkeys are flying off of that car, that team, like mad.
Andreas Worth captures his first Toyota Atlantic Championship win, and what a last lap there. Tunis really putting the pressure on. Talk us through it.
Yeah, the last few laps were really bad for me because I stuck in traffic and always onto the long straight, and that costs a lot of time. I had a good lead, and then from now to this next lap it was nothing. So I was really under pressure from Tunis. He was fast too at the end, but I think he wouldn't get me if I don't have that traffic in front of me. But I'm so happy to win my first race, and now I'm looking forward for the next 2 events and try to get a second or third one.
Andreas, congratulations on a great drive today.
Thank you very much.
Well, he earned his 7th podium, but the important thing is it was a win. And there you see it. Verth over Shuto. Zolzman third. Boy, those points coming after him. And there you see Kasmets in 8th. He got the point for fast lap. I'll tell you what, you got to give it to him for trying. He knew it was all or nothing for the championship, and he gave it his all. He may have ended up with nothing, but it was not for a lack of trying. Unbelievable. Let's get back down to Calvin.
Charles Zolzman, another podium finish. Really put you on the way to this championship. A big day for you.
Oh, definitely. I got caught up at the start. I was in the middle of Tonis and Catherine, so Catherine drove on my rear wheel, and after that the car was feeling a bit funny, but I was in 2nd position, so I wasn't going to give it up easily after the first 11s.
Great job. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Well, 8 podiums in 10 races, and he got another one. Road America coming up next for Jan Beekes and Calvin Fish. I'm Greg Creamer. We'll see you from the long straights of Road America.